This episode of The Travelling Epicurean was made possible by these sponsors.
I know he's there. I hope this spider's rubber, because I hate spiders. Hi guys, Michelle here with the Traveling Epicurean. Today's the Halloween episode. If you haven't already figured out, I'm a zombie. And my color theme for today is orange and green. So I'm going to show you how I make my sweet potato fries with a green goddess dipping sauce. Absolutely delicious. So let's get over to the blender and we'll start with the dipping sauce first. All right, so these are the beautiful things that we're going to need for the green goddess sauce. We have Greek yogurt, 3/4 of a cup. I have 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise, grated onion. I did a grated sweet onion, about a tablespoon. I have a jalapeno. I did about 3/4 of the jalapeno. And I have 4 stalks of green onion, a cup of cilantro. I'm going to give a squeeze of a lime. And then we need a tablespoon of red wine vinegar and a tablespoon of olive oil. So I'm going to bring this to the blender. We're going to put it all in the blender and we're just going to puree it, and your green goddess sauce is done. I love Halloween. I love the dry ice effect that it gives, that airy feeling. So my punch will go in that punch bowl there. We have our witch. I love this green goddess sauce because it all goes in the blender. How easy is that? So I'm just going to be putting everything right in here, and then we're just going to puree it just until it's smooth. You may have to stir it, maybe once or even twice. But then it's just going to make this really beautiful consistency, and it's going to be perfect for a dip. So let me get the top on here. And then we're going to start to puree it. If I can get this top on, we could get it pureed. There we go. Okay, this zombie is going to start pureeing this green goddess sauce. And I want you to know that this green goddess sauce is amazing on chicken, on steak, shrimp, swordfish, you name it. This is absolutely delicious. Even for wraps or tacos, a little dressing on that, you're gonna love this one. I pureed it till it was smooth. I didn't even need to stir it. You just have to be patient in the beginning to let all those ingredients get combined. So while we're working on our fries, I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator. First I'm gonna test it because I just can't wait. Oh, it's really, really nice. Oh my goodness. Absolutely delicious. You're gonna love this. I can't wait to try this. Really, really nice. Okay, so let's get going on our sweet potato fries while this chills in the fridge. Well, this is what we're gonna need for the sweet potato fries. I have 3 large potatoes. So I have one basically for backup because I only want enough to complete 1 tray. You don't want them on top of each other because then they'll steam instead of getting caramelized and crispy. I have salt, granulated onion and garlic. I have some cornstarch, which is a little bit of a secret. We're going to toss them with the cornstarch first. It helps to absorb some of that moisture out. And then we'll douse them with some olive oil and then the seasonings. We'll toss them around, put them on the cookie tray and into the oven. They're going to be so delicious, especially with the goddess. A quick little tip on this. When you peel the sweet potatoes, they're kind of woody. They're really tough to cut. So I've peeled them. I've cut it in half lengthwise. This way it could sit flat. So it's easier to cut it. And then you slice it down, and then you're going to be cutting the sticks like this. And then you get a beautiful stick, just like that. So that's definitely an easier way to cut up these sweet potato sticks here. They're all uniform in the same size. You know, I love to cut them on my mandolin. Every now and then I try it, but it's just too difficult because they're too woody and it's really difficult to cut. So I'm going to sprinkle 2 tablespoons of cornstarch on there and toss it. If you don't have cornstarch, they're still going to come out great. This is just a little something extra that really helps them. All right, so toss them there. I'm going to drizzle 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Get that all on there. And I'll toss that again, just to coat them. And then we're going to drizzle another tablespoon of olive oil once I get them on the tray. I actually have a teaspoon of garlic granules, onion granules, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to sprinkle all of that on to the sweet potatoes. Give them another toss. And then I'm going to spread them out on my cookie sheet and make sure they're one even layer. Because you want them one layer so they don't steam. You want them to get caramelized and get crispy. All right, so let me get the cookie tray and we'll spread these out. So, we have our cookie sheet here. We're going to pour those onto there, onto the pan. So the cornstarch, it's going to absorb a little bit of the moisture. Sweet potatoes are high in moisture, and they really don't get as crispy as a regular French fry, a russet, or a Yukon, but they still get crispy. We got all our fries evenly in one layer, just like that. I'm going to drizzle another tablespoon of olive oil just on top of our tray here. And then we're going to pop them in a 450-degree oven for 15 minutes. We're going to check on them. We're going to flip them around a little bit and shake them. Put them back in the oven for another 8 minutes or so. All right, so we have the green goddess sauce in the refrigerator, and we have our sweet potato fries in the oven. And now let's take a peek on how I did these roasted pumpkin seeds. So we have our wonderful pumpkin seeds here. I washed and dried these in a giant strainer last night. I put them between layers of paper towels, patted them dry, and then put them on this tray. And I let them sit there overnight so they could dry out a little bit more. So I use the same seasonings I use on my French fries. I use garlic and onion granules and some salt. You can add cumin, you could add cayenne, chili powder. There's all sorts of spices, but these are the spices that my kids love. So I'm sticking to the flavors that they like, because I know how much they love these roasted pumpkin seeds. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. It's really just to get them moist so the granules have something to stick to. And then I'm going to sprinkle all of this on there. I have a teaspoon of garlic granules, a teaspoon of onion granules, and a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to toss them together just so the olive oil can coat all the seeds. And we're going to pop them right in the oven, and then we're going to roast them until they're golden. They're going to be so delicious and crunchy. My kids love these. They even want to take them to school with them for lunch snack. All right, that looks beautiful. All right, so at the 10-minute mark, I'm going to take them out. And as you can see, some of the back ones are a little bit darker. I'm just going to give them a little bit of a stir. And then I'm going to get them back in the oven just for another couple of minutes. So total is going to be probably about 12 minutes. Everybody's oven is different. You really need to keep an eye on them. And we'll give this a shake. Make sure they're even. And I'll put them back in the oven for another couple of minutes. So we had them in the oven for a total of 14 minutes. At the 10-minute mark, we took them out. We, shuffled them around. I definitely flipped them around with my spatula because the back ones were getting a little bit darker than the center ones. Put them back in the oven for 4 more minutes and then took them out. Definitely gave them another shuffle with my spatula, and now I'm letting them cool on the tray. These are so delicious. I'm going to get them in a bowl, and they're going to be a perfect party snack. So beautifully. Now, I'm going to flip them over because, see, look at the downside. There's already caramelization there. I have a pet peeve, of course, of flipping things in the middle. I just find it unnecessary. When I'm doing my Brussels sprouts or my regular fries. But here, for some reason, I think it's because of the sugar content in the sweet potatoes. But see how the bottom part gets some caramelization? If you don't do that, the bottoms get really, really dark. And you don't realize how dark the bottom is getting unless you flip them. So we're going to flip them quickly. And they're going back into the oven for another 8 minutes. And that's all they're really going to need. Look how beautiful these came out. Absolutely gorgeous. If you go any darker, say for these here, then you're going to forego these, and then these are going to get burnt. So I think those are really beautiful. I'm going to plate them up with our green Gouda sauce, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Ooh, I can't wait to have those. They came out nice and crispy and golden. Really pretty. They're going to be great with the dip. I made these cute little cups if you want to serve individual portions of this, or you could just plate them up on a platter like this and serve them up that way. Really nice. I can't wait to dunk into that green Gouda dip. It's going to be delicious. So now you've seen how this zombie girl makes her pumpkin seeds. Really delicious and so easy to do. I love those seasonings, the garlic, the onion, and the salt. Very simple. And these sweet potato fries, really healthy, absolutely delicious. And the sauce is probably one of my favorite sauces. I love it on swordfish, tuna, shrimp, and it goes without saying on steak and chicken. You can't help but be a gourmet with me in your kitchen because this sauce is to die for. And what, it takes like 5 minutes to make? Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm double dipping, but it's my sauce. Really, really nice. You're gonna like this. You can find these recipes at thetravelingepicurean.com. Have a great weekend. Happy Halloween. Ciao. All right, just a couple of seconds. It would help if it was plugged in. Oh my goodness. All right, how come you never talk when I need you to talk? Stop. I'm Michelle here with the Traveling Epicurean. Today I'm super excited because I'm going to show you how to make beef bourguignon, and then I'm going to show you how to get creative and take all the hard work from the first day and transform it into this gourmet meal on the second day with an Indian spice tomato cream sauce. I serve it up with basmati rice and fresh dill. It's so delicious. I'm looking forward to showing you how to make these two dishes. We'll start off with the beef bourguignon, which we're going to need 3 3/4 to 4 pounds of a chuck roast. That's beautifully marbled there. It's slightly purple because I marinated it, and a 1/2 cup of our red wine that we're going to add into it. I have beef broth with 1/2 cup of finely chopped sweet onion, 1 shallot, and 3 medium cloves of garlic or 2 extra large. I chopped them all together here. 1/2 cup of smoked bacon, our pearl onions, crimini mushrooms. What's really important is to pat this meat really, really dry. It's been marinating in red wine all night. It smells really good. I can smell that red wine. Oh, it smells heavenly. And so you just really need to pat it dry. You can't sear and brown wet meat. It needs to be patted dry. And then I'm just going to start to cut these pieces. To this, we're just going to cut these into 2-inch squares. Beautiful, beautiful. If some are smaller, it's fine. This is going to build some great flavors as we're going to be braising this in the oven for about 2.5 hours. I'm not big on leftovers, but I am the sauce gal, and sauces, many sauces, build when they sit overnight. They build on flavor, and the flavors develop and intensify when they get cooled and then when they heat up again. I have my chuck roast here, my beautiful marble chuck roast, 3 tablespoons of olive oil in our Le Creuset pan. And now I'm going to start to sear. Hear that lovely sound? You do not want to overcrowd the pan. We are going to brown these pieces of meat. We're going to make sure not to overcrowd the pan, because the juices will release and then you'll end up boiling the meat instead of browning the meat, and that doesn't develop flavors. You really need to brown the meat. I have seared pretty much on all the sides. I'm going to start taking out the beef. Taking out this first batch. This was only about 5 minutes. And then we're going to put in our second batch here. And I still have it on a medium-high heat. The third batch, browning this wonderfully marbled chuck roast. So a lot of recipes have you dredging in flour before you start to brown it. I really don't like to do that. They're still sealing in the juices without dredging the beef in the flour. For me, the flour just ends up burning and it starts to smoke, and I think it's a little bit disastrous. And I have a little secret trick for you too about the flour. So stick with me, and this is going to be really delicious. Fourth batch of chuck cubes that we just finished browning. I'm going to pull these out. Then I'm going to toss in our pearl white onions and our mushrooms, just to get them browning a little bit. We're not going to... So when we're dealing with mushrooms, remember, never run them underwater. They're porous, and you don't want them to fill with water. So you just take a damp paper towel like this, and then just brush the dirt off, just like that. And then there's your clean mushroom. Nudge back, stem back and forth, and then it just comes right out. Because we're going to take the stems off. We're just using the cap. Now I'm sauteing the mushrooms. I just put in those wonderful crimini mushrooms. And they're still in the same pot with that same olive oil that we browned our lovely meat with right there. And now I've come to the second layer of our onions. And they're feeling a little bit moist because they were frozen, right? I could see the juice at the bottom of the bowl. So in fact, I'm even going to put some right on this paper towel. Take some of that moisture off of them. Just like that. Recipes have you doing so many extra steps. They have you taking the pearl onions, fresh pearl onions, which you have to peel. It takes forever. You boil them, you blanch them, you peel them, then they have them putting them back into the pot for another 50 minutes, simmering in water, and they don't even add that to the dish until it's plated. Now I think that's kind of silly. I think that the pearl onions and the mushrooms should be in this savory stew liquid braising in the oven, and then absorbing all that flavor, and then also releasing all that wonderful flavor back into the stew. So that's what I have you do, and it skips all that. Once you have it into the oven, you want to sit down and relax. You've just put all this love and hard work into it. I think you're about done. Add in a splash of red wine and give a little deglaze to the pan. They've only been in here about 5 minutes. We're gonna start adding in flavors. I'm gonna add in a ½ teaspoon of salt to these pearl white onions and mushrooms as they are deglazing the pan here. You always have to season as you go along. I'm gonna set these aside and get the bacon in the pan. I have you using the bag of frozen white pearl onions. It makes so much sense. All the work is done for you, and then we just saute them a little bit with the crimini mushrooms and deglaze with the red wine. We've had our bacon just sauteing for a couple of minutes, or ½ a cup of smoked bacon. That smoky flavor, it smells amazing. We have our chuck, our brown chuck there, that's looking very pretty. And then our pearl white onions with our criminy mushrooms. Everything looks so great. There's a little bit of residual bacon fat in there. I'm, not against having fat in there. Everybody knows I love my duck fat. But I am going to soak up some of that bacon fat because I don't want that in the base there. I'm just going to dry it up a little bit. I'm going to add some fresh olive oil, just maybe 2 tablespoons, and then I'm going to add back in the lovely sweet onion, and we're going to saute that. I'll give you this flour tip. I'm not going to add any flour to my stew because my kids like a thinner stock. They don't like it heavy and thick, and they also don't like the tomato paste. So you should be adding a tablespoon of tomato paste right after you saute those onions before you add the beef back in. Just add that tablespoon of tomato paste, heat it through, and then add the meat back in, and then the bottle of red wine. Now, so my flour tip is this Wondra flour. It's a quick mixing flour. You can use it at any time you want. Sometimes I use it for chowders, sometimes I use it for Thanksgiving, and now this is not a paid advertisement. I just want to tell you that I love this. It's great in a pinch. I keep it in the cabinet. You just sprinkle it on top, whisk it into the liquid. It dissolves immediately, and then you need to simmer it just for a few minutes so it takes out that raw flour flavor. But it's really amazing. So this is my secret for today. So I'm going to add a sprinkle of salt to our sweet onion mixture. I'm going to add in, oh, look how beautiful that is. I'm going to add in our beef. Then I'm going to add in the rest of the bottle of the red wine. We have our beef back in the pan with the lardons of bacon. I bundled up a few sprigs of thyme with some string, 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of salt we're going to sprinkle in there. We used the whole box of 32-ounce box of beef broth, the whole bottle of wine. I'm going to bring it back up to a little bit of a simmer before I get it in the oven. So we're going to skim off some of that foam. This happens naturally, whether it's chicken soup or it's beef stew. You're going to get some of those impurities that are just going to float up to the top, and we're just going to scoop those off. Okay, I'm going to get this right into the oven. One more scoop here. It's just skimming the top. It's very simple. You don't have to get it all off, but it's just initially when it begins to simmer, it all comes up to the top. So we're going to skim that off. And in goes our beef bourguignon to cook for 2.5 hours. I actually had to take out one of the racks to fit my giant Le Creuset pot in there. I'm going to grab the cover. That pot is so huge. It's absolutely wonderful. You can see it better if I put some light in there. Okay, there it is. That looks so delicious. And it smells really, really amazing. I'm gonna add in our lovely bowl of white pearl onions and those mushrooms, and they're still in the juices. That was from some of the wine juices. I've cut up some Yukon Gold potatoes. They really hold their shape, especially when you're stewing or braising. Unlike russets, which have a tendency to fall apart really easily. And I love the flavor of Yukon Golds. They're just so creamy and delicious. So I cut up 5 small Yukons. And then I'm gonna add those baby carrots in there. Absolutely gorgeous. Look how pretty that is. Our beef bourguignon is looking amazing. I just added in 1 cup of wine more, and I'm going to add another cup, so a total of 2 cups. Wine always makes food taste better, doesn't it? Just brings on those amazing flavors. All right, so if you don't have another bottle of wine, you could always grab some out of your guest's hand while they're having their appetizer at your dinner party and throw it in the stew, and hurry, pop it in the oven before they even notice. Okay, here we go into the oven. Our beef bourguignon has been cooking for 2 3/4 hours. It is done. I am so excited to get this out of the oven. Let's get this Le Creuset pot. It is extremely heavy. You take it to the counter. Boy, that's heavy. Okay, so this is really exciting because you put so much love and hard work into this beef bourguignon. I kind of just want to give it a hug. But here's the unveiling. I can't wait to take a peek. Careful of the steam. Oh my goodness, that's absolutely incredible. Oh my goodness, I just took out our beef bourguignon. If you could only smell the aromas that are coming out of this pot. It is so amazing. I'm glad I added back in those 2 cups of red wine. I could smell the wine, the beef, the vegetables are perfectly cooked. It's going to be absolutely delicious. Well, to get our beef bourguignon to taste like an Indian spice dish for the second day with those leftovers, we're going to take a cup of whole peeled tomatoes and I'm just going to start to simmer them and I'm going to add our wonderful Indian spices here. So I think the best way, whoops, I just squirted all over myself, but the best way is with your hands. If you have a potato masher and you feel more comfortable doing it that way, you can do that way as well. All right, so we have our wonderful beef bourguignon leftovers. We're going to add that cup of the crushed whole peeled tomatoes. And then we're going to add in a couple handfuls of those beautiful snow peas. This sauce is so pretty. And then we get in our other half a teaspoon. We had a half a teaspoon of curry, a half a teaspoon of turmeric, a whole teaspoon of the garam masala, and a half a teaspoon of coriander. So total we added 3/4 cup of half and half to this sauce as we're simmering. Look how gorgeous this is. We have our beef bourguignon, our baguette, that I'm definitely going to slice up and dunk in there. And look how beautiful this sauce is. Gorgeous Indian spiced tomato cream. Although that cream sauce is incredible. Look at that. Ugh. I really love all those floral flavors from the Indian spices. It's just amazing. Oh my goodness, I thought that the beef bourguignon with that baguette just now was out of this world. But now that I'm tasting this incredible Indian spice tomato cream sauce, let me tell you, this is probably my favorite, I think. The fresh dill with the basmati rice really complements all those Indian spices. I just want you to see how you can be creative and transform all the hard work from the beef bourguignon and create this incredibly gourmet second dish that's really different. It's unbelievable. You're gonna love this. You've got to try it.
Thank you for watching The Traveling Epicurean. A special thanks to